son is racing.
Welcome, race fans, to another episode of the Rubbin' Is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR Show. We've got all your fantasy racing action for the Coca-Cola 600 from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Welcome back, A-Dub.
Thanks for having me back again, guys. It's nice to come back. Sorry about my leave of absence that I had to take. But I'm really excited about this weekend's racing action. It's just the ultimate day for a motorsports fan. You have morning in Monaco, then you have the Indy 500. And then you have the Coca-Cola 600, guys. I'm telling you, Sunday is the day you just need to sit back on the couch and watch some racing. And we're going to give you all the new tips and everything that you need to know so you can play some DraftKings along with the Coca-Cola 600 and really enjoy it. The Coca-Cola 600 will take place over 400 laps, and NASCAR's Best will do battle in the season's longest race, the only 600-mile race on the schedule. It's the ultimate test of driver and machine. These stage breaks in these 400-lap race will be every 100 laps. It's actually going to be the first time that we implement an extra stage, so we will have 4 stages, extra playoff points on the line, meaning the tempers might flare, and it's going to be some exciting things to see under the lights.
Hey, Dub, awesome to have you back, buddy, back from secret double probation from the Rubbin' Is Racing Committee, so it's awesome to have you back, brother. I missed you. But interesting fact here at Charlotte, definitely this is a long race, so the drivers are going to have plenty of time to come through the field, the longest that we have all season. But out of the last 10 races here at Charlotte, the winner has come from the top 10 7 times. 6 of those winners started from the top 5, so you better be starting a dominator from that top 5.
Well, kids, it looks to be another rainy weekend. The rain should hold off until after final practice, but Sunday is another story. We have over a 50% chance of thunderstorms starting mid-afternoon, so maybe we'll get this race in Sunday. Maybe. If we do, it'll be at 6 p.m. Eastern on Fox. And NASCAR fans, it's good to be back. I hope you enjoyed the All-Star break, because once again, we've got a situation with Fantasy NASCAR where someone failed to make it through inspection. And once again, it's one of the favorites, Kyle Larson. Right, Kyle Larson is starting 39th this week. This car may lead laps and contend for the win, but like place differential alone, he should be over 90% owned. He will probably be between 45 and 60, which means as long as something crazy doesn't happen to this car, you're gaining on the field if you go ahead and plug and play him in lineups. Your guys' thoughts on the must play of Kyle Larson? A-Dub.
Kyle Larson is a must play for sure. I actually spent yesterday at the track in the garage, among the cars and the drivers, kind of seeing what was going on. And I saw that while qualifying was going on, and then long after qualifying was ending and all the other teams are getting their cars prepared for practice on Saturday, Kyle Larson's team had the entire right side of that car scrubbed down after he hit the wall, and they were furiously working away. So I think that this car is going to be fine. These guys will put a lot of work and effort into it. Since they're not going to a backup car, he's still got the car that he really, really likes. Kyle Larson also said it himself when asked about starting in the back of the field. It's not anything we haven't done before. If you look back to Texas, he had to start at the rear of the field, and he finished second. I look for Kyle Larson to be on almost every team that I make.
I mean, I can't argue with that. I mean, he's definitely going to be a highly owned guy across the board. So if you are a smart fantasy NASCAR player, you are going to make some intentional swerves just for that, just in case, because obviously we know we can't predict the future. But, it's pretty much a free square. I mean, you can't ignore that. But this is kind of one of those type of tracks that is very conducive to his style of driving. So I have no problem seeing him eventually getting up to the front. Now, with the place differential, that's going to be where you're going to have to make your decision on whether the place differential and if you get some dominator up there, or if it's strictly just going to be place differential, because, being over that price point that he is, you're going to have to sacrifice a lot just to get the place differential guy in there.
Right, but at his place differential, as long as that car finishes top 10, he's going to put up the points of someone that would dominate a quarter of this race, and that's why I think he's just a must-own plug-and-play. But, guys, when it comes to that kind of strategy, there's a reason why he won't be 100% owned. People will design fade. That's up to you. I personally probably won't be doing it at more than probably a 5% clip of a fade of Larson. I just think it's that good of a play. With that said, Liehr, we've dilly-dallied enough. Get us into the rubber. Get us into some burning rubber, baby.
Man, it's gonna be good to do this, boys. Burning rubber, Coca-Cola style, polar bear, baby.
I really did like the polar bears. They were awesome. A-Dub, who you got burning rubber, buddy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Again, glad to be back so I can give you guys my fantasy advice. Hopefully you'll listen this week. I'm going to take NASCAR's golden boy this week, Joey Logano. He's running the Shell Pennzoil Gold car, and this car looks beautiful out there. And I can only imagine whenever they turn on the lights and that white and gold car under the lights, it's going to look fantastic. I can't wait to see it from the stands. Joey's starting in the 23rd position, and some might look at that and really think, man, the speed's really not there. And I actually talked to Joey after qualifying yesterday as he was coming through signing autographs. And I told him, Joey, your car looks really cool. And he's like, yeah, I just wish it was fast. And so obviously him and Todd Gordon have a lot to work on over the next couple days. But I don't see any reason with 2 practices on Saturday that these two aren't going to be able to put their heads together and figure something out. If anything, they could put Brad set up under the 22 car and shake it down. But honestly, he's not that expensive compared to one of these, as one of the dominators. And he's starting in 23rd, so he might be one of the better place differential plays if you're not going to look at Kyle Larson for a place differential play. He also has the best average finish at Charlotte among all active drivers with an average finish of 11.19. In 16 starts at Charlotte, he has 1 win, 5 top 5s, and 9 top 10s, including the All-Star race win last year. So I think that you might be looking for a driver that has more speed or displayed a faster car so far this weekend. But I just think that Joey Logano can find the speed. If practice on Saturday isn't going well, maybe I might temper my exposure to Joey Logano. But right now, if they can get this car practicing in the top 15, top 10, I think Joey Logano can put it up in the front. And this team has been railing off top 5 runs. I cannot fade Joey Logano. The consistent rate he's been finishing in the top 5, I can't fade him starting 23rd.
Yeah, definitely AW. I mean, the 22 team, they've kind of fallen into a rut a little bit here lately of the last couple of weeks. When we saw him at Kansas, I was all over him because I figured, starting in the second position, he was going to do fairly well. But, I mean, right from the start, he fell to the back. And obviously with blowing that, having that right front issue and then getting into the huge crash with Danica and Amarola, they've had a rough couple of last weeks, and they're definitely, in line to have a good week. And at all the tracks, this is definitely one that he has won at before. And he's one of the, top guys as far as average finishing position here at Charlotte. So, and he's actually actively, because Carl Edwards was first, but actively Logano's number 1 when it comes to average finishing position here. So starting 23rd, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. You got to have exposure on this guy this weekend. And I can't wait to see him in action. And he's definitely going to be on a lot of my teams. It's just hard to fit him in with, you've got to put in some of the dominators as well. So my guy that I'm going to be picking on, talk about, here shortly. But when it comes to salary, he's $9,600. So as a place differential guy, that's where you're going to have to make your decisions, whether you're going to pick a larger caliber driver like Joey Logano or one of the smaller end guys like a Castle or somebody that's going to be a salary reliever for you. So, but I'm definitely going to have some exposure on Logano this weekend for sure.
I love the Logano place differential play. Plus, he can also be a dominator if they get that cart completely dialed in. From his track history here, that is something he does on the regular here. At least he does that, unlike Keselowski. Keselowski, for some reason, doesn't seem to like the night races anywhere but Kentucky. If you look to how they were both running at Kansas, neither one of them were running well at all until the carnage allowed Keselowski to get up into a top finish. I want to see better speed out of these Penske cars a little bit, but they've been so dominant, and the place differential alone warrants them as a play. The decision you're going to have to make this week is whether or not, and it's a decision calculus, you have to choose the dominators versus the place differential guys, and you really need to have a comprehensive race vision for this race as to who's dominating, and with these place differential guys, run the math and see which way you want to go about it. That's on you as a player this week, and I think that's what you're going to want to do. Liehr, A-Dub, do you have anything else to add? I'm pretty sure we've pummeled Logano to death.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that also I didn't have a chance to talk about this yet, but this weekend they laid down, before the All-Star race, they laid down that adhesive
the grip agent.
the grip agent on the track. And last weekend, the drivers didn't actually know that they laid that grip agent down until they went out for the All-Star race. So I guess NASCAR didn't really let them know. And then NASCAR's PR team said that they didn't like the grip was on the bottom, so they took a pressure washer and washed it all off. But obviously, it was still there. This weekend, they put that grip agent in the top two-thirds of the track. So the middle and upper lane have that new VHT on there. Mm-hmm. So I really think that if it's going to work out like NASCAR thinks it will, and all the drivers, that saw that they put it on the bottom said that they should have put it on the top. So if that grip agent's working like it should, and the top will have more grip, maybe these guys like Kyle Larson and Joey Logano are not going to have a hard time passing. If it's a single-lane race like it was at the All-Star race, it's going to be really tough for track position. But if NASCAR's plan, it goes according to plan with the new VHT grip agent, I think that Logano and Larson can move up through the field pretty quickly.
Well, let's be honest anyway. Like, Logano and Larson are not going to have problems passing those cars to begin with. They're just in that much better of equipment. Like, that's just naturally for those kind of cars. All right, Liehr, who do you have to burn some rubber, man?
My burning rubber, boys, going to be going. He's not going to be driving this car this weekend, but he's doing the old number 4 here. Going with Kevin Harvick and the Stewart Haas, number 4. Obviously, he sits winless for the 2017 season, but, they're definitely feeling energetic in the garage this weekend at Charlotte, coming off of a good performance there at Kansas. And overall, I think that they're really starting to figure out, these Ford vehicles. So, but Harvick's obviously going to be starting from the pole in the second consecutive race here at Charlotte, because the last race he started on the pole in the fall. But last time he was
and he blew a motor.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say, is he blew a motor and finished 38. But Harvick ranks 6th currently in the playoff standings, with McMurray above him, and he who shall not, that's so hard to say, he who shall not be named, sitting behind him. But he almost has a full mile per hour ahead of he who shall not be named when it came to qualifying. So he's definitely got the speed boys this weekend. Just like the Logano that we talked about, make sure you're looking at practices tomorrow, and especially happy hour and those 10-lap averages. And that's going to be a real good indicator to you who's going to be running fast. But basically, Harvick has 3 career wins here at Charlotte. And the crazy stat for him is in his last 8 races, those 8 races, he finished 2nd place or higher in 5 of those 8, which is a percentage of 62%. So in 62% of his last 8 races, he's finished 2nd or higher. So look for the number 4 to be Mr. Dominator on Sunday night, hopefully with no rain. But I look for him to go out and just put a beating down on this field this weekend. And he had the one kind of dominated performance in fantasy-wise back at Phoenix this year. Otherwise, it's kind of been a mixed bag for Harvick. Obviously, like I talked about earlier, he is winless, but I look for him and the number 4 team to just go out and completely dominate this weekend. But his cost is $10,300, which is the 3rd highest on the board. But this race is currently set on a platter for Harvick to take it down, and he must be a must-own driver this weekend, boys, and I'm going to be all over him pretty much every single lineup.
Yeah. See, I love Harvick this weekend. Love the play. I really like the fact that all of these Stewart Haas cars are brand new cars with engines and chassis that they manufactured. They are going all out after this race, and all those cars look fast. Even Danica looked fast. Now, I will tell you why you don't want to play her just a little bit further in the show. But, those Stewart Haas cars are all fast, and I don't have a problem if you want to play any of them. Harvick's going to carry the largest ownership percentage, and in the past, he has been on the pole and not led a ton of laps here, right? He actually leads more laps when he starts a little further back than on the pole. But I can't fault the Harvick play, dude. He was required to be on your lineup at Kansas, and I think we're starting to see the best of the best emerge, along with he who must not be named, but we'll talk about him in a little bit. Oh, the other thing I wanted to do was mostly just brag about the fact that I got a sweet Harvick diecast autographed at Kansas. Yeah, so I'm just bragging there. I love Harvick. A-Dub, your thoughts?
Yeah, guys, isn't it unbelievable that Kevin Harvick hasn't reached victory lane yet this season? I don't see a way that NASCAR is going to be able to keep him out of victory lane for much longer. And this weekend, like Jamie said, is just shaping up to be the weekend for the 14. You look back to the last time they ran the Mobil 1 paint scheme at Las Vegas, he was pretty much on everyone's lineups. He had such a fast car there, blew a tire and hit the wall. I'm pretty sure he wants to do better for these guys this time. And Kevin Harvick loves Charlotte. He's good under the lights here. if you put him out in the lead, he's gonna just dominate the race. I just think that he is gonna be the dominator. Like if you're looking for a dominator and he's not one of the first two guys you're looking at, you're doing it wrong. Mm-hmm. Like it's basically for me, it's like the classic situation that we talked about. You know, if you play DraftKings on NBA, do you play Russell Westbrook or do you not play Russell Westbrook? Kevin Harvick is that for NASCAR. If you play Kevin Harvick, you're going to be, at risk for salary and ownership. But, if you don't play him, he's just going to kill you and dominate and get a triple-double or lead 200 laps. I just think you have to have Kevin Harvick on your team, and he'll probably be on 90% of the teams that I make.
Yeah, the interesting part this week is honestly the way they can score at this race, as long as this race is, and with place differential, there's essentially 7 guys I have that are all of that like stud ilk that can put up super monster points either from place differential or leading laps, and Harvick's clearly the top of that list. The other guy that's the top of that list for me is the 48 and Jimmie Johnson. I understand he's 10,200, but guys, he has 8 wins here. Like 8. That's almost a third of the time at this track he wins the race. That is absurd. He's also led 1,895 laps. Yeah, you heard that right. 1,895 laps at this track. He's starting 14th, so he's going to even give you a great source of place differential. Now, here's what I'm really banking on. I'm banking on a lot of people trying to buy Larson coming from the back or Logano and overlooking Jimmie starting 14th. I think that this might be the week that you can get Jimmie at the lowest ownership percentage at literally the track that he's best at. And that spells all sorts of fantasy goodness for me. I am heavy on Jimmie Johnson this weekend. What are your boys' thoughts?
I love the Jimmie Johnson play this weekend. I'm going to have plenty of exposure to Jimmie Johnson. He came through the garage after qualifying last weekend, and he was doing some media availability and things like that as he was walking to his hauler for a meeting. And the big question was, what happened that, caused you to not make the final round? And he just commented on the fact that the track just changed so much, and, it wasn't exactly what they prepared for. They practiced only in the daytime, and then as dusk started to fall, the track kind of changed a lot, and depending on what time you went out in those rounds, kind of depending on what cloud you got and kind of how fast your lap was going to be, how much grip was out there. So Jimmie said that, guy doesn't even have time to get frustrated. They're shoving mics in his face and asking him about it, but he really wanted to put this car in the top 12. So I love the Jimmie Johnson play. This is Jimmie's house. If anyone is going to dominate the race, I think it's going to be one of 4 drivers, honestly, that can go out here and really dominate this race. And I think it's Harvick, Truex, he who shall not be named, and Jimmie Johnson. Mm-hmm. I think those are the guys who you're really going to have to look at to go up there and really run away with the lead. I mean, if you look at Martin Truex, we haven't really talked about him a lot yet, but I actually saw him in the garage yesterday, and I told him, I was like, I hope you can find more speed in the car than you had for the All-Star race. And he just smirked at me, and he said, "We will." And he walks away. And it's like, so you know that, like, right. It's a simple answer just like that. Martin's got some confidence in that team. So don't overlook Martin Truex Jr. because a lot of people did that last year, and it was pretty nasty. Let's not forget this guy led all but 8 laps of the Coca-Cola 600 last year. So,
Adrian.
Right, but guys, in all honesty, that had never been done in NASCAR history at any race.
Right.
And it won't with the stage breaks. Stage breaks, honestly, the stage breaks are the Martin Truex Jr. rule.
Yeah, they're defined as the Martin Truex Jr. / JGR rule. Like,
yeah.
But no, I agree with you, AW. I mean, I'm definitely going to have some Jimmie Johnson exposure this weekend. Same with you, Poppa. But, it was disappointing a couple weeks ago because he was the one that was sitting, that didn't qualify at Kansas. And, he had a large exposure because of where he was starting at. And, it was disappointing because down towards the end of the race, I mean, he was up in the top 5 and, had the problem there. But, he's very, very quietly, he's having a fantastic season.
Right.
I mean, he's got 2 wins. And he's not really making any noise. He's just doing his business, not, ruffling any feathers and just doing what he normally does, just kind of laying back in the weeds. And then, when it comes time to the playoffs, boom, there he is. And
coming at you like a spider monkey.
That's right. And I think that this weekend it's going to be the same thing, but from a fantasy player perspective, I think a lot of fantasy players for NASCAR are going to overlook Jimmie Johnson this weekend, and you can't do it because he got the place differential. This is his best track. All the stars are lining up for him to have a good race and become a big point getters. So, you definitely got to have exposure on them. And I know I will for sure. And you guys out there, you definitely should too.
I mean,
I'll be drinking out of my 7-time mug.
There you go. As the 7th time, I'm like, they don't call him Superman for nothing. Like,
and by the way, I bought that hat, and it's amazing.
All right, kids. Now it's time for
what's
Liehr.
he putting on his head right there?
Liehr, go ahead and introduce it.
This week on Poppa Watch.
That's right, kids. He who must not be named has finally come out of hiding and was instrumental to you and your lineups at Kansas when he destroyed the field. You had to have him on your lineups. The All-Star race at Charlotte last week, he then won. Dare we say, he who must not be named is back since he's sitting on the front row next to Harvick. He who must not be named also does fairly well at this track, even though he hasn't won, other than the All-Star race. I would also like to point out that his fellow Death Eaters are also in play. Hamlin at 9,200.
Death Eaters.
Yeah.
The Tormentors. the Dementors.
And Kenseth at 8,700. Both will be way under owned for their track history and how good they should be at this track. I think both those cars are outside cars that can potentially dominate here. Both those cars have also led chunks of laps at this track. They will go extremely under overlooked. The one that everybody will look to, if they do, will be the Death Eater in chief, he who must not be named. Your guys' thoughts on the evil crew?
Yeah, honestly, we should probably think about changing his name to excuse me, it's kind of a tongue twister, isn't it? He who shall not be faded. Because this guy, obviously we won't say his name. We won't give him any kind of publicity that he doesn't deserve. But he's kind of an arrogant guy. Like, honestly, seeing him in the garage yesterday, he just has this swagger about him that it's just like he's so unapproachable, yet he's so like about his business. And that's the craziest thing. They had a hard time getting his car through a technical inspection yesterday. And so there was a line of guys. Denny Hamlin was standing beside his car. This guy was standing beside his car. Kurt Busch was standing beside his car. And everyone was like kind of just frustrated. And this guy was like taking pictures and signing autographs with people. But the whole time he would be taking pictures with people, he would just have his hands clasped behind his back. And I don't think he was smiling with these people's photos. So the nerve that they had to go up and ask him for anything at any time, it surprises me. But especially when he's trying to struggle to get his car through technical inspection. But I think they have so much speed in that 18 camp. Like, you look back to the All-Star race, he won that, and he pretty much dominated it, honestly. If he would have had the track position, it was so hard to pass there. Once he finally got out front, kind of like the All-Star race always did, whoever gets out front on the last segment is going to win the race. So the move he pulled on the restart shows that he's not afraid to make the moves that it's going to take to win and put this 18 car in victory lane for the first time this season in the regular season. So I think he's good play. He's going to be obviously at an opportunity cost of Harvick, and you look at Harvick and Logano and Johnson and Larson. I mean, he's just one of those handful of guys that I think are going to be one of the dominators.
Yeah, I'm going to have to work on that opening segment, man. I was trying to, for all you guys out there, I was trying to make it like Paul Rudd and Anchorman, where it's like, Poppa Watch. But no, I mean, when it comes to he who shall not be named, he's got that kind of that confidence, like he was talking about, that Adrian was talking about, that now he's got that a little bit of that aura back to him. Now he's got a little bit more pep in his step, and he's going to bring that this weekend. And when it comes down to picking your drivers for your teams, I mean, you're going to have exposure on all these different drivers. It's just going to be which combination of these drivers are going to make you win that GPP this weekend. And that's going to be the main question that, hopefully one of us here on this show will be able to answer with a big W. But I definitely going to have exposure on Kyle Busch this weekend.
Oh, what?
Dude!
I'm sorry.
No. Oh, no.
What?
Oh, no.
Edit that out.
Dude. Just jinx the man. I'm not sure. Everybody out there, I'm not sure.
He's a complete fade.
Complete fade now. Liehr done
Hands
jinxed him.
Hands off. It was going well. We were almost done talking about it.
Almost done. You had to keep rambling, didn't you, Liehr? Had to keep going.
Where do you want me to start at?
No, this is all included for the viewers.
Gonna see it.
Everybody has to see you you destroy their pick. No.
This is quality content right here. This is what people like to see.
Right. I'm with A-Dub. Quality content.
Sorry, guys.
As Liehr hides in shame, I think it's a good time to show that since we're spending a ton of money this week on plays, we need to go to the man himself who still tries to save money with his cheap dial-up connection for a source of value. A-Dub, give us some value, buddy.
Yeah, if what was the name of your segment again, Poppa?
Poppa Watch.
Poppa Watch? Okay, so my segment's going to be called Dialed In with Dial-Up. So here we go. This is my value pick for this week. I'm going to take Casey Kane in the number 5 Farmers Insurance Chevrolet. You know, bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum. Isn't that how it goes? So that guy has been just the source of fantasy goodness all season because they cannot seem to turn it around in qualifying. Excuse me, Casey's actually in the Liftmaster car this weekend. You probably would not like me getting that wrong. So he's starting in 24th position, obviously a great source of place differential. I love playing him and Logano starting 23rd and 24th together. Casey actually, a lot of people don't even realize this, he has the 3rd best average finish at Charlotte among active drivers, 12.77. In 26 starts at Charlotte, he has 4 wins. He's led 1,106 laps. And he has 10 top 5s and 14 top 10s. He finished 3rd here last October. Obviously has the speed in that number 5. If he's going to be, taking notes off of Jimmie Johnson and Chase Elliott, who obviously have very fast cars, I really like playing Casey Kane in this spot. I think it's just a no-brainer when you're looking for a source of value.
I mean, this is his best track.
He loves this place.
His best track that they race all year. He has the most wins here. Obviously, that shows. It's just hard to ignore. That 24 starting position. So, yeah, you're definitely going to have exposure on him for sure. It's just, are you able to put him in a lineup when you got, 2-3 dominator guys, and then you've got his salary, which is, I believe it was, 8,200?
8,000 flat.
8,000.
8,000. So, I mean, it's hard to get Casey Kane in lineups when you've already got 3 dominator guys that already cost between 9,500 and over 10K. So you're going to have to, pick and choose your battles there. But yeah, I mean, I love Double K this weekend. He is my original fascination with NASCAR back when he drove for the number 9 Dodge Evernham. But yeah, I mean, he's back at the place that he loves, and he should be a play, barring any unforeseen circumstances. But yeah, I'm definitely going to have exposure on Double K for sure.
Yeah, when I took Jimmie, guys, I was going to give you guys the great value play of Kane. One of you had to take it. It's just right. Like Liehr said, the only problem is finding the salary to get up to him. But starting where he's at in that car, as good as he is here, easy plug and play. It's one of the places I started a group of my lineups. I basically made him a core in a set of lineups I made. Liehr, who do you have to save some money?
For some reason, I've just got that he who shall not be named on my mind.
You should. You jinxed all of us.
You better get him off your mind because we're not playing him anymore.
Yeah. I'm sending you a bill.
Did they come out with the caramel? Is that out officially?
Oh yeah, no, it was out. Trust me, I saw it at the store and I scoffed at it. And I refused to buy that.
Oh, you did? Because I was gonna say I'd love to try it and see what it was like.
Well, I mean, I'd like to try it too if Kyle Busch wasn't sponsored by them. But,
dude, what is it like? Just one person brings.
This week's already been ruined.
What? Oh, dude. Oh, both of you. Oh no. Oh no. No. Oh, this is tragic. All right, Liehr.
I really didn't want to play him anyway, so it doesn't really bother me.
Oh, save us some money, Liehr.
I'm definitely gonna be saving you guys some money this week. I'm gonna be. This driver and this team has been surprisingly pretty good so far in 2017, and looked strong in person a few weeks back at Kansas. But Buescher's been on a gravy train with biscuit wheels for sure, and been steadily finishing strong. His his value is important in 2 different ways this week. He provides you with one with salary relief to fill up your roster with other high-end drivers and top-end guys. Buescher is 6,200, and Sunday night he also starts 29th. So his last 4 races in 2017, he's finished 15th through 18th. In the last 4 races, guys, 15th through 18th. Just get that through your mind in that $6,200 price point. With his starting position and his salary this week, the 37 JTG Kleenex Cars 3 movie, the Chevy, will perform Sunday, and he's definitely going to be a must-own in my opinion. And Buescher, he keeps getting stronger every week, even though he's not on, a top tier team. He keeps going out there every single week and proving that he can avoid the incidents. They haven't had any car troubles really with that car all year. And he's just been proven to be a very steady player, and you definitely got to have exposure on him this weekend.
Yeah, dude, this team's really turned the corner. I love this play for fantasy. He's just a dynamic play. They've actually made they've moved them as a team, in my opinion, into the next tier of teams, and that's very important. And DraftKings hasn't caught up on the pricing for him. I also really like Cole Witt starting 34th at 6,100, and Matty DiBenedetto as well, like starting back in the back, cheap guys. A-Dub.
Ka-chow. That's all I have to say about Chris Buescher this weekend. This guy, have you guys seen the previews for Cars 3? Hopefully it looks a lot like Lightning McQueen did in those previews, because he was moving up through that field, and I sure would like to see that number 37 move up to the field just like that. This car looks so good. I just love it, because things like these, when I was a little kid, things like these are what made me interested in certain drivers and made me want to actually watch NASCAR. You had these awesome paint schemes. And you look at, if Jamie, your son, if he were to be watching the race on Sunday and he sees that there's a Cars 3 car on the track, that's automatically his favorite driver. So I think that is only positive vibes for all these guys. I think that, back in the day, at Richmond, they had the Looney Tunes rematch where they would make all the Chevy drivers race all the Looney Tunes cars.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, I feel like if Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, and Daniel Suarez are in this movie, why are they not racing Cars 3 themed cars? I agree. I think NASCAR has gotten too far away from that kind of thing, because when I was a kid, that's what made me love the sport, and I feel like little kids love seeing a Cars 3 Lightning McQueen paint scheme out there.
No, Liehr and I talked a couple weeks ago on the show about how we wanted exactly that. We would love for all the cars to be represented. I think that's one area NASCAR has dropped the ball on just a little bit.
I think they've reached a little bit out on that, because when we were at Kansas, Larry the Cable Guy was the honorary
right.
Grand Marshal.
Well, they did a little better at Kansas for the SpongeBob 400 with all the cars that raced the SpongeBob paint schemes.
Yeah.
But it was really only 4 or 5 cars.
Yeah.
There was no
even still, so with me though, it's one of those deals where why are you going to the 37 and Buescher and JTG? Why are you not going to the Levine family with the number 95 and McDowell?
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
And asking them to do it. That's what doesn't make sense to me, because
all little kids see the yellow 95 and they think that's Lightning McQueen anyway.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
No, I'm with you guys. I wish contracts and obligations were easier so we could get that cleaned up on NASCAR. Because I'm with you. That's one of the collectible diecasts that I like to collect are the fun themed ones. I think that's just fun and unique, and that's one of the things that got me into racing. So, and I know that's one of the things that gets a lot of kids into racing.
Play Lightning McQueen and Chris Buescher this weekend.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though it's on the wrong number. Anyways, the value play I'm going to tell you guys is David Ragan at 5K. He's just way underpriced, starting 28th, which is about, in all honesty, 3 spots higher than what I wanted to play him at. But in his last 6 races, he has finishes of 24th, 28th, 23rd, 19th, and 10th. The other 2 misprices that are gross misprices from DraftKings this week are Landon Castle and Michael McDowell. Michael McDowell qualified too high. A-Dub's going to talk about that in just a little bit. And Landon Castle, honestly, has not been the driver that we loved last year in getting us fantasy points. So even though he is underpriced compared to the other drivers around him, I don't know that he's necessarily the one you want of that group. I would stick with Ragan. Your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I really haven't looked at David Ragan too much as far as looking at that bottom of the barrel value. There's certain guys that are interesting just because of the roster construction that you can do. I think that we've kind of talked about it in our group chat. DraftKings did something very weird by putting the bottom 3 guys way lower than they should have been on pricing. So I think that's going to make things pretty interesting. I like the opportunities. If you look at guys like Corey LaJoie, he's been a risky play, but he starts 40th and he's only 4,800. So, I like him if you're trying to fit a lot of those stars in there. But honestly, it's just such a risk with these bottom of the barrel guys. If you're going to take a risk on one of them, I just think you got to find the one that's going to be starting the farthest back. Because if you're playing one of these guys, you're playing them because of place differential, and that's the only way they're going to score points. So, for me, Corey LaJoie is a really good option because he can't get you negative points. But then you look at guys, like you said, like Michael McDowell, who could fall back pretty good, like we'll talk about.
Yeah, the crazy part about David Ragan in front row, the guy, in his last 4 races, I think Poppa mentioned it, but 17th, 10th, 19th, and 23rd for a guy that costs $5,000. I mean, I have no idea what DraftKings was thinking about pricing other people above him that have no business being priced above him, that haven't produced any of those types of results this year. Sorensen.
Cope.
Yeah.
Right.
But no, and with you talking about LaJoy, like I was talking to Poppa actually about this, but the problem with LaJoy is it always seems like every single week he's got some problem or some issue going
that
on.
car doesn't stay on the track.
We talked about earlier this season it was a few races ago, but something like 49% of cautions in NASCAR have been from BK Racing.
Oh, I believe it was 58% at that time was from the 2 BK Racing cars.
Sure.
Yeah,
Greg Galding knows how to turn that thing to the fence pretty good.
BK Racing has just had all sorts of problems this year, and that's why I try to stay away from them. All right, guys.
Yeah. I'm not done with my Reagan. Definitely play David Reagan this weekend. He's going to be a great salary relief guy for you, and he's going to make you have the ability to get those top-end drivers. And I guarantee you the guy's going to finish in the top 25 without a doubt for sure.
I think that's pretty safe, barring one of the craziness. All right, guys, it's time to send somebody to the garage. This might be it might be somebody we like as a driver. It might be that or it might be somebody that we hate as a driver. It might be that we don't like DraftKings pricing, or as is this week with all 3 of them, it is the fact that they are all overqualified. So we'll keep it fairly short. I don't think there's going to be a lot of comment. There might be a little battle and back and forth on a couple of these guys. A-Dub, who do you got going to the garage this week, buddy?
I love my going to the garage pick. I don't just love him, but he's not. He's not a guy that I'm going to look for as a source of value or any source of salary relief or anything like that. Michael McDowell, his price is a little bit tempting, but starting in 21st, the speed's there for sure. But I just think the opportunity for him to fall back it's right there, and he's going to go way back. I look for him to finish around 29th or 30th, get a few laps down. In 15 starts at Charlotte, he has 7 DNFs and an average finish of 33.87. It's pretty simple. Michael McDowell is a great guy and a great driver. There's not in the equipment or the situation to pay off for your DraftKings team.
Thanks, Delilah, for the update. I appreciate it.
Different radio channel, but good joke.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, totally.
I thought that was the...
Caleb's a Christian station, dude.
Yeah.
I thought it was that Delilah or whatever that was.
I remember that.
Radio station.
Talk about that. Yeah, Delilah.
No, it's not a song, dude. It's
it was like elevator, like cheesy elevator and romantic music. She had a show back in the 90s and 2000s.
And people could call in and be like, "I'd like to send this."
Well, I'm pretty sure a show like that wouldn't have the funds to sponsor NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series team.
You never know, man.
Lear didn't think before he spoke again. All right, Lear.
Sometimes that stuff happens, But I am going to actually have a little bit of exposure to McDowell because just the way that his cost is this weekend is just so hard not to have some exposure on him, even though he is starting that high up. $4,900 for this guy. I mean, automatically where he starts at, you're already getting way past your value on him. But I definitely have other people that I like more. Busher, which costs more, obviously, and then Reagan, which is right there with McDowell. I mean, if I had to choose between Reagan or McDowell, I'm going Reagan. So, but I'm definitely going to have some swerve plays of McDowell because he definitely he has that opportunity to where he can literally finish where he started. And I know he hasn't had the best of seasons, but with that price, it's just so hard to not play him. And coming off of a 13th place finish at Kansas after he started 35th, you never know. He may have a little bit of a higher ownership percentage just based on that finish, but I think a lot of people will be scared off of him just because they say, oh, he's starting, in the early 20s. I'm not touching that because he's not even going to get close to it. And sometimes those plays do pay off because the higher that you start up, I mean, at that salary point, he's already giving you value just where he starts.
Yeah, he can even give you value if he falls back 3 spots, which is why I'm going to have a couple of pieces of McDowell. He's just so cheap; it allows you to squeeze some studs on the lineup, and as long as he doesn't go too far back, but A-Dub's right, just straight up right. he has too much potential to go negative. Now, you're playing that he's a great driver and that they've gotten a little bit better in that car. But no, if you're playing McDowell, even at the cost savings, you're playing him at a significant risk because essentially what I'm seeing is he's starting almost at his ceiling. Like, he might get a couple spots better if there's some carnage.
I mean, it's going to help him where he doesn't go a lap down super early.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's going to eventually lose those positions when your guys like Kyle Larson and Joey Logano and Casey Kane and all the Austin Dillon, those guys are guaranteed to pass him.
Yeah. To me, it breaks down if he can stay on the lead lap through the first segment. I think if he can stay on the lead lap through the first segment, he'll at least finish top 30. Yeah, he should be good to go for the race. Like, right? It's just whether or not if he gets put down a lap in the first segment, you can count on a lap per segment, and it's going to get messy. Yeah. That's the way I'm looking at the race breakdown for him. All right, Liehr, who are you sending to the garage? It's fun having A-Dub back.
Liehr, you better watch your mouth right here, buddy.
Well, as you can tell by A-Dub's precursive strike there, I'm going to be going with number 77 energy vehicle with Erik Jones. Off to a pretty good start this season, but the past quarter, past the quarter pole, the team is kind of trending in the wrong direction. They look to Charlotte to be a redeemer race for them, obviously moving this team forward in the 2017 season. But in his last 4 races, he's finished 19th, 22nd, 33rd, and 38th. And this week, he is starting in the 5th position after what I saw live back in Kansas when he lost control multiple times with a lucky finish of 19th. This kid is definitely a raw, talented driver. He's got a lot of talent. I don't ever doubt that. But he's obviously in the rookie season. He's learning the ropes. He's on the big boy circuit now, when these types of things is going to happen. And just look at Blaney and look at Elliott, this season. Look how far they have come in the second season, how much more polished they are in season number 2 than they were in season 1. With his cost, though, of $7,800, there are definitely more cost-effective options out there for the race on Sunday. If you want to play him as a swerve play, I have no problem with that whatsoever as a swerve play, but just one, okay? Just one play. But stay away from the 77 for the majority of this weekend because he's not going to have any energy at the end of the race.
Well,
this race, you think it'll be longer than 5 hours?
It might. I think
if so, we should consult the physician. Oh wait, no, that's something different. No, guys, Erik Jones is a good driver. I'm actually surprised at the 19th place finish, being that we saw him spin out 4 times at Kansas. The only way you're playing Erik Jones this weekend is if you have him as a dominator, and I just don't have him being a dominator. And he's qualified too high. It's an easy going to the garage for me.
Dum. Here we go.
Yeah, I know your girlfriend.
Another way that you might play Erik Jones is if you homer out and he's your favorite driver, and you're going to be at the race and you want to have him on your DraftKings team. So that's kind of the position that I'm going to be playing it from. So no, I understand what you guys are saying. It's obviously based on his track history, it's very clear that he's been struggling lately. But he had a great qualifying effort, which means this car is going to be super fast. So I don't honestly
out of control.
All right,
I think
we'll do this quickly. A-Dub, is he going to lead laps?
He's not going to lead any laps.
All right, is he going to be the fastest car on the track?
Not every lap.
Well, because the fastest car is the car that's leading in clean air at this track.
Okay,
so with him starting 4th, what point potential does he have?
I was trying to tell you, he's starting 5th.
Oh, my bad.
He has a fast enough car to finish in the top 10. And I think that if you can take a top 10 out of this guy at this cost, then you should play him. I think he's going to finish like 7th or 8th. I really do. I think he has the speed for it. Jamie said he's got the raw talent. If he can keep that in check for the longest race of the season, I think there's no way that this guy's not going to finish up there.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, if that wasn't your girlfriend's favorite driver.
What are you talking about? It's my favorite driver.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, that's Blaney. Like, if it wasn't your favorite driver, other than Trevor Bayne, you would never be making this play for a rookie starting 5th. You would never be making.
You're right. No, you're right.
Like, come on, bro. I appreciate that you're at least admitting that you're homering out and that you just want him to root for.
Big time.
But
big time.
But for DraftKings purposes, man, you got to send him to the garage.
Yeah, he's not a good play.
No. All right, somebody else you got to send to the garage is Danica. I talked about how much I love these Stewart-Haas cars this week and how fast they look. But, guys, it's Danica. And the Danica rule is still in effect. She qualified 15th. That is 9 spots too high for the Danica rule. She's also too expensive for what she is at $6,400. I would rather save money and buy any of the value guys we've talked about. Even I would rather take the risk on Michael McDowell at the value than play Danica this week at $1,600 at $1,500 more. I think McDowell has more of a potential to hold his position and pay off than Danica does at $1,500 more expensive. Danica's super sweet and posed for a picture with me at Kansas. Awesome, awesome woman. Not a driver you want on your lineup this week. Hey, Dub.
No, Danica's just one of those drivers who just carries way too much risk. If there's an incident, it just seems like, unfortunately, Danica seems to find her way into it and hit the hardest out of anyone. So I don't think that this is the week where you want to look towards Danica. There's just other value options out there.
Well, she is part of the Coca-Cola racing family, boys. I don't know if that's going to help her out at all. But
that is true.
But no, surprisingly though, I was surprised at Kansas when which is obviously another 1.5 mile little
she
bit
was fast.
Oh, yes, she was running great.
Fast.
Running great.
11. And I was like, holy moly, she may have a top 10 finish here. Mm-hmm. But just like you said, though, I don't know if there's like specific magnets that are attached to the front end or the rear end of her car to other vehicles.
Man, that's crazy.
Magnets, how do those work?
She always seems to find the carnage, and I don't know why, but I was happy though that she crawled out of her Wonder Woman car, which was a sweet paint scheme, by the way. Mm-hmm. But I'm happy that she climbed out of the car okay and that she wasn't hurt. But yeah, as far as starting 15, just I can't do it, not with the amount of drivers that we have behind her in the field. And it's just the way that the salaries are playing out this week, it just doesn't make any room for her for my lineups anyways.
No, it's almost like somebody's like put a curse on her in her car. Like it boggles my mind how she'll be running good or having a decent day, and then something randomly happens on the track, and all of a sudden she's caught up in it. It's just, it is tragic for all those Danica fans out there.
And quick side note, Poppa and I both got pictures with her, but we are both very large gentlemen. I mean, when I say large, I mean tall. Like we're both about 6'5". She is like 4 foot nothing, and we both had to
5'2". Come on, guys, give us some credit.
Oh, dude, she's not 5 foot tall.
And get my picture with her standing up. So
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's shrink down the viewers window, and we will put together a lineup here. And this week, guys, we're gonna do it a little bit different. I'm entering this lineup in the beast with 50K to first. So once again, don't copy the lineup. It's unless you want to try to share. But no, that's not the purpose of this lineup, guys. We're just showing you the proper process with 3 different heads trying to go at constructing a NASCAR fantasy lineup. All right, A-Dub, you've been gone forever. We'll give you first pick. Who do you want?
Batter up.
So, Jamie, what do you think about putting Eric Jones on this team?
This is 2 weeks in a row we've done this to him. Hey.
Okay, so fine. Honestly, I know who you guys are probably going to pick, so I'll just put one of my guys on there. I think you have to have Casey Kane. You
want to start at Casey Kane? That's an interesting.
I like it.
I like it too. It's an interesting starting point because most people I don't feel will start there. It will change salary. That raises it a little bit to $8,400 per driver remaining. All right, Liehr, where do you want to take us?
Let's do it to it, boys.
You going Outback?
Who else should we roll with?
He wants the bloomin' onion.
Yeah.
Bloomin' Sundays?
Might as well on Memorial Day weekend, right?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I like it. All right, guys. Now, here's the question that we need to make after we've decided with Harvick. Do we have a 2-dominator lineup, or do we have a vision of this race, or do we have a 3-dominator? If you have 4, you can't afford it. So you better.
For me, I think that you just have to have Kyle Larson.
Yeah, this is where you stick the Larson in.
Yeah, you have to put Larson on there at this point.
Yeah.
Don't want to take your pick or anything, Papa. You could pick again.
No, dude. Like that's absolutely right. Like I'm going to pick, and so now here's the decision that you have to have. So you have the Larson place differential play that we've talked about. Now here's the decision that you have to make. Do you have he who should not be named splitting laps with Kevin Harvick? Do you have Jimmie Johnson moving up from 14th and splitting laps with Harvick? right? What is your race
Yeah.
vision? Do you have Logano moving up? You're going
Truex.
or Truex,
is
right?
another
Like
option.
the Truex
Well, I mean,
gets.
what about Dale Earnhardt Jr. starting in 19?
No,
I mean, I know he wasn't good last weekend, but we should probably talk about it a little bit. Like, that's an opportunity for place differential. He's 7,900.
Dude, I'm with you, and I love Junior, but until I find out that he is not scared to be in that car, I really think that he's scared to be in that car still. I want to not believe it, but the results prove that what he's done this season is proving that gut feeling that he is scared to be in that car and just wants to be done. And like I feel like he's trying to enjoy it, but it's just
okay. Well, I mean, I kind of see what you're saying. I have a couple other guys that I want to see what you guys think about. Daniel Suarez, Austin Dillon, Trevor Bayne. Those three guys. What do you think about those guys?
I love Bayne. I love Austin Dillon, and I love Austin's brother Ty. I think Ty in that car is another great value play this week.
Honestly, I think that we should try to fit Ty on this team. I wouldn't mind seeing him on this team.
Yeah, so before we get there, though, which direction do you guys think we should go? I personally want to go with Jimmie here, and that's going to handcuff the.
Well, I think we kind of all three want to go in three different ways. I think you want to go Jimmie. I think I want to go Logano, and I think Jamie wants to go Truex.
I'm pretty sure that's where we all want to go.
with our fourth driver?
Yes, with driver number 4.
Yeah, okay, so, like, who's the next option after
that?
Well,
so, since it's my pick, I'm going to just throw in... No.
I mean, if you'd like to.
You know what? I'm going to executive override, and we'll throw in Jimmie Johnson just to show what this does. Like, I think it's more an illustrative purpose now. So, when you put Jimmie Johnson, that gives you 3 of the guys above 10, right? We are left with $5,700 per driver remaining. Right, it puts you in kind of a bad spot.
Okay, so now the guys that I'm going to start looking at are going to be Landon Castle, Corey LaJoie. You got Regan Smith, David Reagan.
Dude, I honestly with this lineup. I like playing both David Reagan and Regan Smith. I think you'll get super low ownership. What are your guys' thoughts?
I mean, I just don't know. Honestly, with Regan Smith, I probably won't have too much exposure on him, even though he is really cheap in the 43 car, starting in 25th. Just because, like, how perfect this team's going to have to be to stay on the lead lap for 600 miles with it being a new team.
Fair enough, dude, but that's
new spotter. I just think
he hasn't been.
And he hasn't really been driving. He's been driving in the trucks. So, like, I know that he qualified decently, but I just think over 600 miles, it's going to be really hard for this guy to keep up with these other drivers.
It's a brutal start for him this weekend.
Yeah, it's a horrible race to come in as your first start.
The last few Coca-Cola 600s, we've had, like, 16 and 12 people on the final lap. So, like, most of the field will not be on the final lap. It's just a question of...
I mean, yeah, you're right. But there's a lot of risk involved with Regan Smith with that not being a set situation. Austin Dillon, too, a little bit of a risk with having a new crew chief. You know, they got rid of Slugger Labby. So
poor Slugger.
Interesting.
All right, guys. So, do we want to keep Jimmie Johnson and explore and play 2 guys out of this 57 range, or do we want to?
That can work.
All right. So, where are we going? Go ahead and give me a pick, A-Dub. Which value guy do you want first?
I mean, it's hard. Like, I mean, I know that we had kind of talked about what we liked before, but I mean, could we fit a guy like Chris Buescher or Ty Dillon and then reach to the bottom of the barrel?
You can. I believe we can.
You can go Chris Buescher, and then after that,
play LaJoie.
You do have the ability to play Reagan and Buescher together.
I like Reagan and Buescher together a lot.
Yeah, it actually works perfectly. Let's go ahead and lock that in, and that will be the lineup. Yeah, no, the problem is I think I actually had this lineup before as one of the ones.
Well, if it's a good lineup, then you probably should have it already, right?
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. So the lineup for this week's show that we're putting into the Beast for 50K to first is Kane, Harvick, Larson, Johnson, Buescher, and Reagan. Remember, you might want to try to deviate a little bit from that, and probably a combination of all the guys that we've talked about is going to be the one that takes it down. Some common permeation of all of our guys is what always takes it down. So,
hey, did you guys have something that you wanted to talk about before we ended the show?
Absolutely, we have the drawing to give away.
So I wrote everybody's name down here on the list,
and I have all those numbers.
And we had 18 total. So here we go, Poppa.
I put all those numbers into a.
Did you put 18 for a reason?
Blaney hat.
Because of that one guy?
Oh, maybe that Maybe the 18 there is an omen that it's unjinxing Liehr.
Or it might jinx him back because I said it too.
Could be. It could be. But, well, you also accidentally said him, so, like, 2 negatives make a positive.
Oh, I didn't really accidentally
All
say
right.
it.
So, the folded up for the Brad Keselowski autographed
Hey,
hat
can you guys put my name in too?
All right. The number is number 1. How about that? See, number
Wow.
1.
Number 1. And number 1 on the list is Skibone 21.
Skibone 21.
Number 1 wins the number 2 hat.
There you go. Number 1 wins the number 2 hat. With that said, guys.
Skibone. Send me a DM message on Twitter with your address, and I will be sure to get that hat out to you, sir.
All right, guys. Let's say our goodbyes and get out of here as we're at the hour mark for the show. A-Dub.
Yeah, we went a little bit long today, guys. I guess I came back and we had a lot to talk about. It's been, with having a week off for the All-Star race, there's definitely plenty of NASCAR information to digest. A lot of things have kind of shaken up in the NASCAR world. We talked about Austin Dillon's crew chief change, and we talk about these other things that are happening. NASCAR is really trying to make the sport more exciting, adding the road course to the 2018 chase. So a lot of big things are happening for NASCAR. And, we're hoping that DraftKings is going to be included in all those big things that are happening for NASCAR and for all of you viewers. So we appreciate your support. We love having you comment and watch the show. I was glad to be back this week, and just make sure you hit us with comments and suggestions. I'll be at the track, so, I'll try to reply as much as I can and let you guys know any kind of inside information that I might have.
Definitely, I'll be hitting you up, brother. That's going to be true. But speaking of A-Dub talking about DraftKings on the line, hopefully the Rubbin' Is Racing show will be on that line as well, because we love doing this stuff every single week. But as far as, this weekend, I cannot wait to watch the race. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. It's night racing. It's on a holiday weekend. Hope everybody has a great, safe, and happy holiday, 3-day weekend. I will actually be working tomorrow, unfortunately, but
Me too.
Yeah. But also, too, I would like to take just a few moments to thank all of those in our military for their services and putting their lives on the line for us each and every day for the freedoms that we have. So this weekend is for you guys, and I can't wait to see the special patriotic paint schemes on the track this weekend. And we know that especially to the flyover for the national anthem should probably
and all
be
the
something
fallen
very
soldiers
special.
on the cars. That's pretty cool.
It's always really cool.
Hope you guys have a good weekend and play in the qualifier. They rolled that out this weekend, by the way.
Yep. Wanted to give a shout out to both my father, my uncle, and both my grandfathers that served, and we appreciate your guys' service and all those who've served this Memorial Day. And guys, the qualifiers for NASCAR's World Championships are up. Hopefully, there's still going to be a live final that takes us to a track somewhere. This is a little interesting of a contest. Remember, guys, these are basically all or nothing contests. So unless you have the bankroll to play in it, I would think twice. But it's an interesting opportunity to play DraftKings for a lot of money there in the World Championships if you can get to it. But, guys, we can break down that a little bit more in more detail when we're not rambling on about all the content that we had for you fantasy-wise this week. Hopefully we're going to take down some GPPs and win some money. Hopefully that 50K is going to say Big Poppa all by himself next to it. But if it's not me, I hope it's definitely one of my boys or one of the viewers of the Rubbin' Is Racing show. You guys have a great week. Thanks for watching. Let's win some money.
Sneaky play this weekend, people.
Yeah, Wood Brothers is a sneaky play.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Later, y'all. Peace.
Peace, guys.
Have a good one.